Today, on Be Something Wonderful, the one way to manifest everything you want. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and these are the studios of Be Something Wonderful, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, good morning and welcome back to the studios of Be Something Wonderful. The question is, if you already have everything that you want to have, if you already are everything that you desire to be, then how do you become the vibrational match or match the frequency of that desired reality? This is the question that one of you asked, right? That, okay, I get it, that I'm already all possibilities, that I'm already living all of my potential realities or lives, that I already have everything I want. Then what's the best way to become a vibrational match, to match that frequency of that desired reality? Well, we're going to talk about this idea today and more. Remember what I've said before, this idea that Abraham Hicks and other spiritual teachers talk about being a vibrational match or matching the frequency of your desired reality. And I just want to remind you that you wouldn't even be able to imagine, desire, want, or even think of your desired reality or this desired experience unless you are already a perfect vibrational match, unless you already match that frequency and vibration perfectly. You wouldn't be able to think of it or desire it or want it. So let's talk about really what's going on. Because this particular creator talked about that they're exhausted doing affirmations. They've been doing some robotic affirmations. They've been trying to flip their thoughts, trying to get into a state of wish fulfilled, of feeling good, right? And then they said they're triggered and they're just getting exhausted. And they said, you know, they're trying to maintain this high vibration of their desired reality, but he said it seems impossible. But remember, I really want to talk about this idea. What does high vibration in a high frequency mean, or a fast vibration in a high frequency? The myth is having a high vibe or vibration is about thinking and feeling positive thoughts all the time. We've busted that myth, right? It really has nothing to do with that. Remember, to the extent that the idea of positivity, the metaphysical idea, is the more you're aware of your true identity, yourself as the creator, the more expansive your view of yourself and reality, the more positive you are. That's the true measure of positivity. True frequency and vibration is about the identity or the lens through which you view yourself and your reality. Hear it again. This is what we mean by frequency and vibration, right? It's about the identity or lens through which you view yourself and your reality. And so the more you view yourself, your concept of yourself, the idea of who you are, as the source and creator of your reality, and not in reality, but you are reality, a point that we've made in the last few videos, that you're not in reality, you are reality. That you are reality and source itself, the higher your frequency and the faster your vibration. In other words, the experience of that, because you're already the vibration and frequency of God, as all that is, having a physical, 3D focused experience that gives you the experience of a lower vibration or a different frequency. But it's just an experience. You have never changed. The broader and greater your perspective or perception, hear this, of yourself and your reality, the greater your frequency and vibration. You see, that's the true nature. It's not about, remember, changing thoughts and feelings have nothing to do with it. It's your view of yourself, the identity as source. You're going to have different changing thoughts and feelings that you might judge as negative. But it doesn't change your idea of how you view yourself unless you allow it to, unless you identify with those, what you would judge as negative thoughts and feelings as your identity. But if you don't identify as them, and you know that you're the awareness within which they appear, then they have nothing to do with that. You don't have to do anything with them. This is powerful. So on the other hand, the more you identify with your changing thoughts, feelings, and circumstances, regardless if they're judged positive or negative, regardless whether they're positive or negative, the more you identify with those changing emotions, those changing circumstances of people, places, and things, those changing thoughts and feelings, those changing moods, as who you are in your reality, the more you identify as that as who you are in your reality, the narrower and more limited your view of yourself in your reality. It shrinks your perception of who you are, so you see less of reality, less of who you are. That's what gives you that limited or negative, what you would call a negative experience. Because you're narrowing the view of all that you are. You're limiting your perception of all that you are and everything that you have. So you create this idea or this experience of a lower frequency or vibration. That's what we're talking about. It's just an experience. You are not in reality. You are reality. The changing thoughts and feelings and circumstances are appearances within the reality that you are. Hear it again. You're not in reality. You are reality. The changing thoughts, feelings, and circumstances are appearances within the reality that you are, the awareness that you are, the consciousness that you are. They are not reality. You are. So the broader and greater your perspective, perception, and view of yourself as source, as the creator, as reality, the higher your frequency and the faster your vibration. Or in other words, your experience as reality. Right? It's an experience. You're already the God vibration, the God frequency. I am is the highest vibration of frequency there is. It's the ultimate vibration. It's the ultimate frequency. It's so fast it's standing still. Right? Be still and know that I am God. That's how fast it is. It has the idea of stillness. It's the peace that passes all understanding. Right? You're moving so fast you're not moving. You're God. Be still and know. Right? So the broader your idea of who you are, that's what creates that experience of a higher frequency or a higher vibration. So that's why trying to flip thoughts and feel better is exhausting. They create the experience of separation, of lack, and in the experience of a lower and slower vibration or frequency. You are identifying with them as reality versus simply thoughts and feelings about reality. And that's what creates that experience of a low vibe or negative vibe. Right? That whole idea of negative vibe. Remember, you're only ever experiencing yourself as source. You are source energy. So when you say that they have negative energy, there's only one energy, source, and how you're experiencing it. Right? You're the one experiencing that. You're the one declaring it's negative. You're declaring your experience negative. In the Chosen scene, if you remember, I've talked about this show, The Chosen, but there was one scene where Jesus, as your I am awareness, the metaphysical meaning of Jesus, is with his disciples. And he says, I've chosen you 12 as my apostles. So they're no longer disciples. They're no longer students or followers. They're now the messengers. They're now the demonstrators. They're the chosen ones now. In other words, you get to declare your reality. You're no longer practicing the law and following and learning processes. You are the law. But in that scene, he says he's going to send them out 2 by 2, the idea of duality or the physical world, to declare and claim the kingdom of heaven is at hand. In other words, its time is now to declare your reality. Be that identity now. And then one of the, and Jesus is talking to them about, they're going to do miracles. They're going to heal the blind and the lame, right? They're going to do these works and wonders. And the disciples are looking at him, us? We're going to do that? This is how we believe. I'm going to create that desired life? No way. And And Nathaniel, one of the disciples, says, I don't feel any different. I don't feel like I'm a miracle worker. I'm going to be, I am God. I'm going to do these things. And then Jesus, your I am awareness, says, I don't need you to feel anything to do great things. I don't need you. It's not about those changing thoughts and feelings. It's an identity to do great things. You're identifying as that source. It's a knowing. It's a conviction. It's an acceptance and recognition that you already are that which you desire to be. That's what all that idea of feeling of wish fulfilled that Neville Goddard talks about. He says, I do not mean emotion, but the acceptance of the fact that your wish is fulfilled, the acceptance of the fact that you are source, that you are creator, that it's done, that when you declare it, it's law. That's what that means. That's powerful. And, we've talked about these ideas of the emotional guidance scale or the scale of consciousness, right? The Hawkins scale, where you have bliss or that very top joy or peace that passes understanding, and you have despair at the other end. But this is a linear experience. This is an experience of you in reality, moving up and down the scale, feeling good and not feeling good. So you're usually somewhere in here. Right? The linear, limited, separate, narrow view of yourself in reality. But actually, extremes meet. It's this. You're the center. So bliss and despair meet. Do you see it? It's the same energy. It's the same source. All paradoxes are reconciled. All extremes meet. You are source. There is no other. I am reality versus I'm in reality. It's not the other end of the stick, as some spiritual teachers talk about. Oh yeah, it's just the other end of the stick. It's not a stick. It's the same source, and they meet. Right? It's that idea that you could drop down to so much despair that extremes meet, and now you're feeling bliss. Right? This is the idea when you surrender. You're feeling things are so bad or so that you just can't get over it, that you've suffered so much, you just finally give up and surrender to the God that you are. And then you feel that bliss. I am the way. That's the one way to manifest everything. Right? It's the one way. Remember, manifesting is not about processes and techniques to try to think and feel better. To feel better. To vibrate higher, to match the frequency of your desired reality and things you want and desire. It's not about that. You're going to go, I know, Tom, what's it about, right? It's not about the processes and techniques to try to think and feel better, to vibrate higher, to match the frequency of your desired reality and all the things you want and desire. You're already a perfect vibrational match. You're already the God frequency. Manifesting is about then identity. Your identity as source, your identity as creator, your identity as the substance, as the source energy of itself, as all that you want and desire. You're not getting there, it's about being there. We create this idea of always trying to get there. I've been on this journey, I've heard that many times. Tom, I've been on this journey for so many years. You're not on the journey, you are the journey. You're being there, knowing that you already are there. Declare it and claim it. That's what Jesus, when he was going to send out his 12 apostles now, not disciples anymore, they're not students, they're not learning the law, they are the law. They're going to declare it, they're going to give the message. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, meaning it's now. I am is now. I am that which I desire to be right now. You already are and always have been a perfect vibrational match for all that you desire and want, or you wouldn't even be able to desire it or want it. I am chooses, and it chooses you. Not the thoughts and feelings and circumstances. You allow them to choose for you. You allow the people, events, and circumstances and the changing thoughts and feelings to choose who you are, to define you, to determine what your identity is, your past and the present circumstances, and hoping to get to some better future. You're letting that all define you. I am chooses. I am chooses. That's why in Scripture, it says in John 15:16, Jesus says, your I am awareness, you did not choose me, but I chose you to go forth and bear fruit and manifest the life of your absolute dreams. In other words, You choose who and what you chose. You choose who and what you're conscious and aware of being. Your identity as the creator, your identity as the source, your identity as reality. That's the true vibrational frequency or as source. Not others, not circumstances, not thoughts, not feelings. They don't choose unless you allow them to. Unless you give them that power and authority from above, from your I am awareness. That's why I love this chosen scene. Right? You can Google this. I do not need you to feel anything to do great things. If you Google that chosen scene, this will come up. I've chosen you, the 12 apostles. In other words, you are no longer a mere student or follower or disciple of the law. You are the law. You're demonstrating it through your identity now. I'm sending you out in every direction, 2 by 2, in the world of duality, to do the works, to do the wonders, to demonstrate, to manifest the life of your desire. This is powerful. And he says in this scene, but not the Gentiles, not yet. That will come in time. In other words, what do the Gentiles represent? Your worldly thoughts, your worldly feelings, the things that are always changing, the external world, the world out there, the circumstances, the people, events, the thoughts and feelings that are always changing. Not yet. Those come in time. Those are an idea of time. Those are an idea of your linear, horizontal experience, that linear focus of time, space, and changing circumstances. Forget that. They come in time because they change when you do. So, of course, that manifested experience changes into whoever you're being. That's why it comes in time. Right? You have and are all power. There's only now. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right? There's nothing else you need to learn. You're not missing or lacking anything. I know that question comes up so much. What am I missing? Nothing. And it's interesting because in that same scene in The Chosen, if you watch the scene again. Cast your net again. I love it, right? In that scene, one of the disciples says, was there a ceremony I missed? In other words, am I missing something? I'm going to go out and just declare the kingdom of heaven is at hand, that I'm already living my dream life, that I'm creating miracles, the miracles of everything I want to manifest and create right now. Did I miss a ceremony? This is what, and Jesus goes, this is it. Your I am awareness says, this is it. I've chosen you. It's done. This is it. There's nothing else to learn. There's nothing you missed. There's nothing you're doing wrong. There's nothing you need to fix. There's no shadow work. You don't have to keep listening to subliminals. You don't have to do any more of that. You just declare it. I am the way. The one way. The one way to manifest everything you want. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and these are the studios of Be Something Wonderful, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Be sure to join us on the Tom Kearin channel. That's our other YouTube channel. Some of you have asked, what's that about? It's the same, except it's different. The videos are a shorter format that some of you have been asking for, and without the whiteboard that some of you have been asking for. So it's another way, right? Another way to share that message. So join us there at the Tom Kearin. Very powerful messages coming there too. And join us this month, at the end of the month, for our 4th live event where I answer your questions live as you ask them. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom Kearin here in the studios of Be Something Wonderful. Until next time, we'll see you soon.